What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology, and we are continuing studying James. We're in James chapter 4, verse 11 and 12. 2 verses today, guys. So if you haven't read it yet, go ahead and stop the tape, check it out, read it, come back, and we will go over the questions. If you have read it, let's jump into it. James chapter 4, verses 11 through 12. What is it talking about? It looks like James is now moving to talking about our relationships with each other. He talks about our relationships towards God and how we should live. We should be humbling ourselves before Him, recognizing our nature. And now he's talking about how we can practically live those things out. And so he says, do not speak ill against one another, not speak bad against one another. And we've been talking about speech a lot too here. I think this whole thing in chapter 2, I believe, is about how we can speak good things or bless God, the one who's created us, but then we're cursing those of God's own creation. And so, yeah, he says, don't speak ill about each other, guys. And then he gives the reason. He says, for the one who speaks ill or the one who speaks bad or is gossiping or condemning or a bunch of different things, anything that is speaking against his brother, it says that you are speaking against or speaking ill against the law, and you are judging the law. What does that mean, huh? When you speak ill against about your brother, then you're speaking ill about the law and judging the law. Well, I think this might have something to do with the fact that you are taking the law and you are saying, I want to do this. This is good about the law. This is bad about the law. You're picking and choosing what you deem is right in the law and then applying it to your brother to discriminate against him. I think that is the idea behind this judging the law. It says, because once you do these things, you judge the law and you make yourself out to be a judge rather than one who does the law. It's saying that you are starting to be the one who exacts punishment on people rather than actually applying the law to your heart or to your own life. I think the idea what James is talking about here is also that this law is not just, it's not because it doesn't have the article, which means that it doesn't define or specify the law. Usually when we say these things, we're talking about the law of Moses or we're talking about the Torah. But in this sense, I think we're talking about the principles of life, the royal law, the gift that God has given us through Jesus, interpreted through the lens of Christ. And so when he's talking about this law of Christ, is saying that we're picking and choosing what Jesus says or how we should live our lives and applying it to those who are doing the law, we're applying it to those who we're speaking out against, but not actually applying it to our own lives. He says that we're being judges rather than doers. But then James drops the bomb in verse 12. He says, one is the lawgiver and judge. And that one is able to save and destroy. And so he's like, there is only one judge. And there is only one lawgiver. And then it says, so who are you who judges his neighbor or condemns? It could be that too. Who judges or condemns his neighbor? Boy, that's tough, because I think what James is trying to say is that you're not God. But whenever you speak ill against your brother or sister, then you're saying you are God. You may not be actively proclaiming out, oh, I'm saying I'm God. But what you're doing is you are establishing yourself as the one who judges. And the one who judges there is only one judge, and that is God. Whew, that's tough, man. Whew. If you just sit back and think about that, whew, whew. So let us read the scripture. Let us see what it says, and then let us apply it to our lives. Now, I don't want to say that it doesn't say discern and know, because we're here to help grow and love people, and the motivations behind those things, it plays a very important part. And that's why before we even got to this statement that James is speaking of, he set it all up with that, because he wants us to recognize the motivations behind our actions, the why we say these things, and what we're saying when we say them, and who we are as we speak them, the wisdom that we need to discern the truth of these things. And then he just drops the bomb. He says, because when you speak ill about somebody, you're saying you're God. And when you're saying you're God, you are in the wrong place, my friend. And so what's this say about God, the scripture that we read? Well, God is the perfect lawgiver and judge. Like, the laws that he gives is good, because remember, we talked about so many times in these episodes that God is a good gift giver, the best gift giver. And one of the gifts he gave us was the law. And so it is a good gift, a perfect gift. And what does it say about man? Is that we are bad judges. Doing on our own, we become judges rather than doers. We don't like to do things. We just like to judge things. And so what can we apply to these lives? I think, well, we need to examine our lives, read the scriptures, honor what God has to say, and then live purely. Okay, and what do I mean by that when I say all these things? Is that we trust in the judgments of God. What we see and we read in scriptures, as we recognize it in our own lives and we apply it, because that's the most important lives. We want to be doers of the law, not judges of the law. We let the judge do the judging. But if he has judged something in the law, if he has deemed something as condemned, if he has called something unrighteous, then we, as doers, it has to be a purity of heart, can do those things. We can speak those things, but not just to speak ill against our brother, but so that they can be lifted up. So today, then, let's examine ourselves, see what the scriptures say, and know the scriptures, understand the scriptures, apply the scriptures in our lives, and recognize that there is only one. There is only one judge, and it ain't us. I'll see you guys in the next episode.